Well, some developments in politics you just simply couldn't make up. Michel Barnier, Barnier the Brexiteer, question mark, is some of the coverage now. Barnier, of course, announcing that he will be contesting the French presidency, of course, who was at the forefront of the Brexit negotiations on behalf of the European Union, now talking about the need to regain legal sovereignty in France, to claw power back, and even a referendum on immigration, alongside those complaints about loss of sovereignty to the European Union. I mean, you really couldn't make this one up, could you? Perhaps Barnier is actually looking across at Brexit Britain and is perhaps a bit jealous at the way in which we've taken back control, and those Project Fear scare stories have been absolutely obliterated by Brexit reality. Now, Barnier quoted as saying by the Telegraph, "We must regain our legal sovereignty so that we are no longer subject to the rulings of the European Court of Justice or the European Court of Human Rights," and that he will propose a referendum in September on the issue of immigration. Of course, Barnier had previously called for a halt on non-EU immigration. Alongside with that, remarkably, Barnier also challenging German domination within the EU. His tweet quoting and reading, "We have to rebuild the French influence. It is necessary to rebalance vis-a-vis the German influence, which dominates, in particular on the nuclear issue and other strategic subjects." Now, as you can imagine, I think Barnier's had a bit of pushback on some of his comments. I mean, there must be some in Brussels who simply can't believe what they're hearing from this guy. Actually feeling the heat a bit, I think. Barnier coming out and saying, "Let's keep calm to avoid any unnecessary controversy. And as I've always said very precisely, my proposals for a constitutional shield will only apply to migration policy." Now, after it seems like Barnier's tried to row back a little bit here, Politico went back, listened to the audio of his remarks, clarified that this is what he said. Barnier said, "We cannot do all this without having regained our legal sovereignty being permanently threatened by a ruling or a condemnation at the level of the European Court of Justice or the European Convention on Human Rights, or by an interpretation by our own judicial institutions." Barnier went on to say, "This is the reason why we have chosen to say that we will propose during the first round of the legislative elections the terms of a referendum that will be organised in September next year with two objectives: that of a parliamentary control on the quota of immigrants each year, and finally that of recovering through a constitutional shield our freedom of manoeuvre and interpretation on the subjects related to immigration." I said this all the way through. I think what you're going to see play out over the next 5 to 10 years is European politicians looking across the Brexit UK, looking at the advantages that we now have outside of the EU, looking at how you can be more nimble, more agile, more responsive, and not subject to ridiculous EU rules and restrictions. And look, Barnier is noted to be a good operator. Even Brexiteers were saying, in terms of his political nous, in terms of the way that he operated, he was an effective operator. And look, perhaps Barnier recognises some of the arguments that the Brexit negotiators on the UK side were making in terms of taking back control and why the UK wanted to break free from the stranglehold of EU membership. Do let me know what you make of all of this, guys. I'll keep bringing you all the very latest, so make sure you have hit subscribe and the bell. And of course, as ever, thanks for watching.